Making the challenge. I'd like to introduce my friend Jamie Driscoll, north of the Tyne Mayor.
Thanks, Anya. Look at this, what have we got? These banners are fantastic. I love all these homemade ones. At least the dodos didn't do it to themselves. Lego houses are more stable than your government. Isn't that the truth? COP is going on. Everyone in this crowd has heard the science. We know that these promises of keeping global heating down to 1.5 degrees, they look extremely unlikely to be deliverable. You also know that there are over 600 fossil fuel lobbyists at COP. That's larger than the delegations from some countries. I was on Any Questions, you know, the Radio 4 programme last year, around this time, and I was talking about the fact that everybody's describing this in terms of 40-degree days in London, as if that's the serious problem. We've seen massive floods in Pakistan this year. 33 million people uprooted from their homes. But that is not the way that it's going to damage us. Because what's going to happen is somewhere like the North China Plain, 400 million people live there. As wet bulb temperatures rise, as crops fail, hundreds of millions of people, the estimate is 1.2 billion people, over the next few decades, are going to become climate refugees. And the world could barely survive the economic catastrophe caused by a few thousand bankers wrecking our economy. What is going to happen when we have that massive climate disruption? And the host, I was saying this, the host, Chris Mason, the BBC political editor, he was genuinely shocked when I said that the situations that we see in Syria in terms of failed states, that's going to be the norm. And people have not realised that that's what we're up against. And at the same time, the British government has issued nearly 110 oil exploration licences after declaring a climate emergency. My son, my youngest son, will be my age in 2060. And that's the world he's going to live in, and I'm really worried for that. And I was chatting to him, he's an XR activist, I was chatting to him yesterday, and he was saying that it is logical to accept the truth that we are going into a severely dangerous world, and that we need to be thinking about mitigation and not just stopping the damage now. But he also said it is logical to have hope, because if we have despair, we will not act. And there's always something that can be done. You can always stop it hitting the ground, crashing as bad as it might. Extinction Rebellion have 3 demands. Tell the truth about the climate emergency. Declare a climate emergency and act now, and have a citizens' assembly. And as mayor, I've done all of those. So I hope you're all going to vote for me next time, by the way. But my first day in office declared a climate emergency. We have completed that citizens' assembly, and their recommendations are being implemented by the combined authority. There are some things I can't do, obviously. I'm only the mayor of the North of Tyne. I'm not national government leader. But at North of Tyne, we've invested in offshore wind. If the government matched our investment as a proportion of budget, they'd be spending 189 billion on electrification and clean energy, which lowers our bills and gets us energy security as well. On retrofit, we have completed the audit of the entire housing stock so that we are ready to roll as soon as the money comes online. And that means decarbonising people's heating and insulating their homes. And by the way, every pound spent on retrofit saves the NHS 42p because people are healthier. We've worked with our communities and delegated power, and there's some here today. I think with the coconut rewilders here. Yay! So we've made it available with our zero carbon, zero poverty funding. So if you have a community group, get online, look at North of Tyne crowdfunder, and if you get people together on a project, we will back it financially. And we've done things like biodiversity in the rivers, like rewilding lanes, like beekeeping in the Meadowwell. We are training people with the skills for just transition so they can move out of those high carbon industries and get good, well-paying jobs in these new industries. We're funding projects in schools. So primary school kids are getting to do soil analysis and learn about fast fashion. Secondary school kids are working with engineers on genuine green projects. And in sixth formers, they're working on climate simulation games and working with the games industry. These are things that we're actually delivering right now, and finance is so key to this. We're all hearing that from COP. Our Green New Deal Fund is operational. We have 28 projects in the pipeline. Things like putting solar panels on the roofs of factories, improving vehicle infrastructure so that you can have electric charging, and insulating public buildings so that we're wasting less heat. I'm locked in hand-to-hand combat with government to get transport devolved so that we can lower fares and have much better integrated green public transport. And that hopefully will come online in May 24. And at that point about bringing everybody together, on Monday, the Net Zero Northeast Climate Coalition launches, which brings universities and businesses and the public sector and local authorities. I'm co-chair of that. And that's getting stuff done in the Northeast now. So if we can do that, the national government can do that. They've got a lot more money to spend than we have, and it's our money, it's not theirs. So we can do things about personal examples. At the North of Tyne, we've audited everything we do, we've planted the trees, we have the pending issuance units. Once those trees have sequestrated the carbon, we can genuinely say we are a net zero organisation. I don't have a car or cycle to meetings. It gives people a shock when I turn up sometimes. The mayor turns up in his suit and tie on a bike. In fact, actually, we built a massive wall in Scotswood, a retaining wall, because we're building houses there, and they have heat exchangers and district heating. And the developers, I was going to see it, and they said, oh, we've got a place for the mayor's limousine. And my PA said, well, that's nice. Is there anywhere he can chain his bike? But personal examples, it's good, and we do need that leadership. But what we really need is system change. Because most people don't have a choice, really, about what food appears in the supermarkets. If you've got to get somewhere, and there's no public transport, you're going to have to drive. How many people, without financial support, can retrofit their homes or put solar panels on? We need system change. And our struggle is the same as everybody else's struggle. If you look at those workers struggling on the railways, the RMT, ASLEF, TSSA, they're struggling for a better public transport system. Our struggle is their struggle. If you look at the activists campaigning to preserve the green belt, whatever else it is, they're facing the same problem with the police and crime bill that will outlaw protests that are a nuisance. What's the point of protesting if it isn't a nuisance? Our struggle is their struggle. All the trade unions fighting against that police and crime bill, they are going to be told that it's illegal to have effective strike action. Their struggle is our struggle. All the people who are housing campaigners, asking for fairer rents and for decent homes to live in, our struggle is their struggle. The nurses balloted, the RCN for the first time in 106-year history, balloting to go on strike to protect our NHS. And we're talking about a climate emergency, we're talking about resilience. Health is a key part of resilience. Their struggle is our struggle. And the teachers who want to educate young people to grow up as wise citizens and don't like being trapped in an exam factory machine. Their struggle is our struggle. And I think we have all the technology we need to fix this now. But let's suppose, some point in the future, somebody does invent something that miraculously sucks all the carbon, excess carbon out of the atmosphere. Then still, everything we're doing is necessary. And it's like that cartoon. What if we do all this and we make a better world anyway? Why shouldn't we do that? So, one of the things I always say is activists have a tendency to try and lobby politicians to do what they should be doing. But the much better route is to replace those politicians with people who are going to do it anyway. So step up and remember, you are not alone. There was a time when people who wanted to abolish slavery were seen as dangerous radicals. There was a time when the suffragettes, chaining themselves to railings, being force-fed, campaigning for what? The right for women to vote? They were seen as dangerous radicals. I refuse to leave a world to my children that is broken. And if you ever doubt that your cause is just think about history and the future generations who will look back and say thank you for fighting for my future. Thank you, everybody. Keep it up.
Thank you so much, Jamie, and you're absolutely right. Their struggle is our struggle, and all these struggles are connected, which is why we need system change, not climate change. Now I'd like to introduce to you Anne-Marie. Anne-Marie has got a little plan